Vadd here. Welcome to the DinoOverhaulX mod. We are working our way through this mod. If you have joined us before, welcome back. If you are new here, welcome. We got ourselves a Phoenix Prime summoning artifact off of a Prime Doed kill, and it was time to show the Phoenix Prime some love. I love the Phoenixes. I think they're a lot of fun. They have great colors. I like that we're on fire. We're on a Phoenix. There's also some great classic Phoenix names for your Phoenix. It's not only on fire, but it doesn't need a saddle, which is a positive and a little bit of a negative. The positive is we can just ride it. The negative is we know it's not going to get that armor that we know that we need to survive in the DOX mod, like we talked about in the last two episodes. Our Phoenix has about 40,000 health, and we're sitting at about 2,600 in the damage department. We do have a ranged attack, and we're hoping to take a little bit advantage of that as we work our way against the Mantis Prime. The Mantis Prime is a tough fight. It has a little bit of a spread shot of some darts, which are going to trank us out, which we're going to do our best to avoid with our ranged attack. It seems like it gets a good spread with those tranquilizing darts, and if we're really close to it on the ground trying to fight this thing, we're probably going to take a lot of trank darts. By staying a little bit away and staying in the air, I feel like we have a much better chance at avoiding some of those tranquilizing darts. Notice we have our corruption stone and our inventory bar, and we have our chitin armor on. That chitin armor doesn't let us hit as hard. It does let us take a little more damage than that DOX enhanced ride armor. However, it makes you a little harder to knock out than the full set of ride armor will. DOX enhanced ride. Oh, look out! We got almost hit by one of the tranquilizing darts that the Mantis Prime shoots. It also summons in fellow mantises. So again, by taking this fight from the sky, we've got a pretty big advantage with the Mantis Prime. On the ground, we would not only have to deal with those trank darts at close range, that kind of shotgun burst, but also we would be dealing with the mantises that get summoned in as a part of the Mantis Prime's fight. So I really recommend fighting this Mantis Prime from the sky if you can. I did not bring a Pygmy to this fight. I don't know how well this Phoenix Prime is going to do. I'm not doing a great job of landing my shots. Just a little too scared this Mantis is going to hit me with its shots. I'm going to try and take a little straighter approach here, and I'm dead. Okay, this was not the plan, but at least we didn't lose a beloved Pygmy in the process. Let's try again with the dragon. Dragon has about twice the health as that Phoenix Prime. Our dragon also has about twice the damage. We're going to bring a Pygmy as well, that Apex Pygmy Gigantopithecus, and our dragon has that full 100% imprint buff. I'm expecting to have more success with this fight. Prime dinos, when you're fighting them, they do regenerate health. That inflamed damage you see, that fireball from the dragon, I think that helps when I'm turning around here to reduce the chances of that prime fight, that whatever beast I'm fighting, from regenerating health. It's going to take a few passes, but ultimately I think we're going to be able to win this fight. The Mantis Prime is very dangerous and not to be taken lightly. It has a ranged attack, summons minions, but I think we're going to have a little success with this Apex dragon. Our dragon is still the lowest tier of dragon possible. We've yet to get a good dragon saddle so far, and we don't have the tools necessary to fight megas. To get the dragon to that next tier of progression, we need to fight some mega dinosaurs, and we're still working on these primes. We've got a couple more primes left in our hit list, but we're getting really close to finishing off just about every single prime dino we can fight. And with one more blast, I think we've got this Apex Mantis Prime fight down. Very exciting to see that we're able to take down another prime tier dino. See our dragon here, our dragon saddle. Our dragon saddle is really weak. It's still that just 20 armor. We want more on our dragon saddle. I've said it before, every fight you're gonna see what I use, how I use it for a baseline for your stats. Might not have the exact same stats as my Tames. That's okay. It doesn't mean that you can also take on some of these prime dinos. I'm over here at our desert base, and we're going to come out with a Jerboa Pygmy. That's right, the Apex Jerboa Prime Pygmy. The Jerboa Pygmies are a little different from the other Pygmies. We're going to get some stamina, some defense, some HP, and it's going to have that little green plus logo, which is going to tell you we have that Jerboa Pygmy. And we're going to hop on our LavaGolem Prime, which we of course have the enhanced saddle for. That way way we can unlock the LavaGolem Prime's enhanced attack. And that Jerboa Pygmy is the Pygmy I used for this fight because I want that stamina regen, but I also still wanted a little bit of HP and a little bit of defense. Remember, the Argentavis Pygmy also provides some of those bonuses. However, the Jerboa Prime Pygmy is a little stronger. It's a little better than the Argentavis Pygmy. And you can see here, we absolutely destroy that Mantis Prime. Big drops we're looking for, these Mantis Prime heads. We want to make sure we get the heads and we kill the Mantis Primes. Really didn't get too many exciting drops from farming the Prime Mantises. It's a tough fight, but worth giving a shot. We talked about in episode 12, we need to be no longer killing Prime copies, but taming and farming Prime copies. If we go into our Doc Book of Smarts, Summoning tab, and here you can see Tame Prime copies will help you tame what's found on the list over here. And then we go over to that Prime LavaGolem. Remember the LavaGolem we used for that Mantis fight? Here we can see the materials we need for the Prime LavaGolem. So 13, we fought those Dodos to get the Prime Brains, and we've been farming Lava Stones for just as long as that. We are here at Skeletor, the Transmute Shrine, and we don't need Skeletor for this. We just need our Prime copy, and we're gonna put our Prime DodoWyvern head, the Dodo Brains, and the Lava Stones into that copy Prime that we tamed, and we should have an opportunity to summon in a Prime LavaGolem. This is awesome. This is such a cool animation, a fun way to know that something's happening. I don't know if I should be inside of here, if I should be outside of here. Am I going to get dragged around somewhere? Is that going to affect anything? I'm a little bit panicky, but I'm super excited. I think this is a lot of fun and a way to kind of put a capstone on the achievement it is to get all of those items to summon in a Prime Lava creature. And what do we get? Nah, great. An Apex Compy. This is what we had, and now we lost our materials. Okay, something's wrong here. Maybe. Let's check the inventory. If the it's empty. Okay, we've been oh, look at this. Kinda golden metallic personal size golem. Not what I'm looking for. Not at all. But it's a crate. Maybe look, it's just my size. I want one of these my size. You can follow me around. We can be friends forever. It's smaller than my Kong. Oh, okay, it's a crate. Okay, so we got a summoning artifact. Just what we needed. Perfect. Oh, it shattered. Ooh, that was a little sad. But hey, look at this. LavaGolem Prime. Yes, this is the exact chain we used to absolutely blow up that Mantis Prime. And without that enhanced saddle, you don't get the X attack. But this thing's awesome. Look, it's got kind of the red glow, kind of the AoE particles around it. In addition to the particles, we probably have the standard golem. Oh, nice. So we can throw this rock and it bounces and the rock's on fire. It's got that smile, that goofy grin. It's just happy to be here and be on the team. Welcome to Team Vadd here, LavaGolem Prime. I'm sure you're gonna come in handy for some of these fights in the future. I like the way the enhanced saddle has that glow, and that throw attack is pretty fierce, pretty scary, and I hope it doesn't damage us, but it seems to bounce wicked far. We've got the backhand, and it looks like the enhanced attack always does 3 attacks. I've only hit that button once, but it's consistently smashing the ground 3 times, and it looks like a massive AoE on that attack, which looks like it's going to be deadly. It sure put the hurt on the Mantis Prime. Maybe that Mantis Prime is a little weak to fire damage. I don't know if that's the case, but either way, we still have the standard golem attacks. For a little bit of a comparison, that Rock Golem Prime is maybe 4 times bigger in every dimension from that LavaGolem Prime, but this LavaGolem Prime is probably 4 times stronger, much more dangerous. It was a lot harder to get our hands on, and we are just thrilled. Hey, just because we're getting further into the Dox mod does not mean that we don't still want to try and be harvesting eggs. I was trying really hard to get the LavaGolem Prime's bounce attack to ricochet and kill this nest defender. It just didn't work, so I threw out the big enhanced auto attack and I missed completely. Took a couple of tries, but I did get that wyvern in range, so I can use that attack on something that's not on the ground, which is exciting and good to know. I was worried that I could only use that on other ground tames. We also still want to be farming those golden dinosaurs anytime we see them. The golden Dodo, the golden Pteranodon, and I haven't shown it yet, but there was an additional golden dino that got added since I started this series, which is the golden coal, that little fish. I'm told they're in streams and rivers or potentially ocean, but I haven't found one yet. The Pteranodons have been a lot easier to farm ever since we got our mana cores with those enhancement parts. They are not only good to farm for the meats, but that's also how we get a lot of our DOX potions. I showed you how to make the potions in previous episodes, but I've been getting a lot of potions from killing primes and golden dinosaurs. For some base management, I colored my boxes, but I didn't show you that you could also label them. I'm using that S plus mod, that structures plus mod, and if you name your vaults and then set the name, you can get your vaults with a name. Same thing with your refrigerators. So this helps a little bit with base management, and I think it's time to talk a little bit more about building in docks. I've really been wanting to stack mega walls, and they don't stack. It's not a thing as of the current state of docks, and I found a few workarounds. One is to, well, first I tried to put down a foundation and see if that gave me a little bit of a different snap point from the mega wall right next to it. I'm obviously in creative mode. I'm in that just build whatever mode because I'm going to burn through a lot of walls for this process. You're just seeing the finished result. These aren't a part of my base or my progression, but just to showcase how you might stack these walls. That foundation did not give me another snap point. It's pretty much the same height as the wall next to it that's not on a foundation. I played around with pillars and ceilings a little bit, and it seemed like there were some other snap points that I found here, but it's not that much higher. Maybe it's that one wall higher, maybe it's not. Those mega walls are something that you don't necessarily need to stack. I just want to stack them. With S+, I can stack foundations, so I said, hey, let me stack up foundations, and I definitively got a higher snap point with stacking these foundations. It's kind of ugly, but for sure, I can now stack these walls. If I get enough foundations, that structures plus foundation, then I can get a mega wall super high up in the air. It's a little ugly, but it's definitely stacked. ARK isn't a game that's designed necessarily for the builders. There's lots of fun building things you can do in the game, but there are places you might want to build your base where stacking these walls is an advantage. Remember, the docks megas always stay rendered in, so if you don't put mega walls around your base, you run the risk of when the map loads in, there's a mega boss in your base that you cannot deal with. So it's important to build these walls to prevent megas from clipping into your base. If you caught any of the Docs official streams, you would have seen we went past a base with some really cleanly stacked mega walls. I reached out to that tribe and I said, hey, how'd you do it? You're making me jealous. And full credits to Mini Oreo for cluing me in on this trick here. S+ has glass structures. I always forget about them. They're considered metal tier as the current state of Structures Plus, and you can change the model, which is basically the metal around the edges, as well as with this S+ glass, you can also change the transparency, and this is a way where you can essentially get some floating invisible structures. They're not really floating, but as far as the eye can see, they are. This is obviously not balanced for player versus player, and it is obviously not necessarily something that you are going to want in your server. If you're running a dock server with a bunch of people, this could be abused in a lot of ways. I'm not saying that this is the best way to do it, but I am saying it provides a really clean floating structure. You need to take some time to set the right model with the right transparency when you're stacking the walls. This time I'm just using, instead of foundations, I'm using a wall and a ceiling again. No matter where you end up building in docks, you're gonna need to put mega walls around your base to make sure that mega dinos don't just end up inside your base on accident. They aren't protection, they aren't safety from something that's aggressively trying to attack you or chase you. Dox dinos will run right through these, and remember, you need to put down foundations still, because if you build a big enough base with mega walls, like it says in the book of Doc, you might just have some things spawn inside your base. Here you can see with the glass structure, we can get a fairly clean looking stack. I haven't perfectly squared this up, but all things considered, it's not a bad look for stacking these walls. It's tough to understand just how huge the Dox dinos are until you have one out. These mega walls are in between 8 and 9 foundations wide, and they're taller than a lot of the behemoth gates I've put down around them. I think that has to do with the way they go into the terrain. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's time to talk about the Dox domes. You're probably going to want to build a Dox dome. The Dox dinosaurs are huge, and you can't cryopod ancient dinosaurs, the ancient tier of your tames. The Dox dome does have a gate that snaps to it, that forged gate large. Just like the Dox mega wall, these Dox forged gate large should prevent clipping of mega dinos. I don't really like the dome. It has a whole bunch of holes, and it just drives me crazy. It's also super expensive. You need to sacrifice a prime tier dino to build this, and not only has a big gaping hole above the gate, but along each of these panels where it meets up, there's holes everywhere. It doesn't sync up. It just drives me crazy. So I don't really build them too much, but you're probably going to want to build these. You're probably going to need to build these. And I almost forgot to mention the giant hole in the top of it, but really the whole thing's full of holes. This is the Swiss cheese of base building. I get it. They're fun. They're a new structure. They're awesome. They're great for kind of storing some of your ancient tames. They just make me uncomfortable with all these holes. Look at all these holes. I mean, Dino dinos in, the Beast and Ark, they are aggressive on line of sight. Can they see me? Look at this. This is a massive hole. Found some ways to relieve some of my frustration with all these holes. It's not a perfect fit, but it's an option. I use these tech force field walls from the S Plus. I think these walls are awesome. You can just go through them or not, but at least if I'm in the base, then it's rendered in and nothing should go through the tech force field walls because they're considered a wall structure. It's really not a perfect solution. You're gonna probably need this DOX Dome to store some of your ancients, but at the very least, I could cover up some of the holes and relieve some of my anxiety, frustration, and I feel less like I'm in the Swiss cheese of base. But hey, there's also still that big hole at the top, and you say, what did you do? Well, instead of building a wall up there, the glass wall, I don't want a random wall I'm gonna run into in the middle of my dome. I ended up building a force field wall all the way up to the top because then I can just walk through it and not get stuck on it, and I felt a little better about that. Remember, it's maybe 24, maybe 25 walls high. The DOX Dome is so huge. It's tough to say exactly how tall it's going to be from the middle of your dome to the middle of this hole. I again am using that S Plus because I can just use this force field material and I can put a cap on here, and then I just feel a little better, okay? You don't need to do this. This is excessive. It's probably not that big of a deal. I really doubt it's a big deal. I did ask in the community Discord, has anyone had anything bad happen? And someone did comment that a prime phoenix may have flown into their dome once and roasted everything they love. I wasn't there to see it. Maybe they're just pulling my leg. Any way you swing it, the dome is expensive, makes me uncomfortable, but you're probably gonna have to build them. You don't need to cap it. I want to cap it. I capped it. You don't need to block off all those holes, but you are gonna need to put foundations inside of here. You say, why? Why do you need to put foundations inside of here? Well, let me tell you, domes are really big. It's really tough to understand how big they are until you build one. It's also tough to understand why you need them until you have some of those ancient dinos, which are huge. Ark is a lot of fun play. It's not designed as a game for the builders. I said this before. There's lots of fun stuff to do for building in Ark. However, this dome is about 60 foundations from here at the door to the back end, and again another 60 foundations across the other part of the middle of the dome. With 120 foundations just to prevent things from spawning in, the dome is not only super expensive, it's super hard to find places on the Ark maps that support having a dome. You're just gonna have a tough time, especially in some of the maps that are with a more populated server, finding an actual 120 foundations of level ground. That's just not how the Ark maps are designed. And so you not only need to put down these foundations to prevent things from spawning in them, but I really recommend not just dropping a dome and not just dropping this kind of big cross foundation. I actually recommend being a little more proactive if you're going to spend time to make one of these to protect it. Here you can see a LavaGolem, the worm prime, the desert worm showed up. It spawned in the base or came under the base. I don't know, but it was absolutely terrifying. Nothing says welcome to Ark Desert like the desert nope rope inside your super expensive base. So I said to be a little more proactive about how you build your domes. Beyond the foundations, here you could see I just dropped the deuce. Just two domes right across from each other. Then I don't need the gate. I can still bring in my flyers through the big holes in the top. Or as you can see here, I have a structure that's 240 plus foundations long. I could just walk in a Rex under this gap. It really is tough to find a place to put down domes, but could go with the Deuce Dome if you found a good spot for it. Beyond the Deuce Dome, you've got the Quad Dome. This was even harder to find a spot to put down the Quad Dome. Thankfully, the desert on Ragnarok is a barren wasteland. It's not exactly level, so all of these domes have different heights of floors inside of them, but I could pretty much just blast them into each other. But then I said, this doesn't make sense. How am I going to get my ground dinos in if I don't have a big gap under the floor? So I built the stretch quad. Again, it's just 4 quad domes, just the quad dome, but I put down a mega wall on each of the corners. Again, to prevent clipping. I know they're clear and they look like they're see-through, but the Ark dinos are only so smart. Can't get through these without, you can see through these, but you can't necessarily get through these just because you can see through these. The stretch quad also gives you a little more flexibility with how you place down your quad dome. I'm not really comfortable building a dome without surrounding it with mega walls. Maybe you are, and good for you, but I recommend that if you're going to put down a dome, it's super expensive. Spend the extra expense, take the extra time to strap it in mega walls. It's probably overkill. You probably don't have to. It's just my recommendation. And then if you're going to build this, you should build a little bit of a courtyard, a little bit of a phase 2 for this this phase 1 dome, just a progression for you there. And this would then be kind of my suggestion as far as how to progress. From here, you could add on a quad dome or just the deuce dome, the lover's dome, if you will. This gives you some options for upgrading your dome base. I don't think in the early game it's worth losing a prime dino to put down a dome. Here in the mid game, maybe it's worth it. It really depends on where your base building options are. I don't think just going right to dome is a realistic progression. I think it's going to look a little something closer to this. I've got a basic 6x10 foundation, 4 wall high. I didn't put a ceiling on it, just a real basic box base. Plenty of room to do whatever I want in here for me and my tribe. I'm going to go from here to surrounding with mega walls. Okay, this is good enough. I don't have to do anything more. I can progress through the entire DOX mod with a simple box base surrounded by mega walls. I can build out on the open anywhere I want with this design. As long as I don't do something reckless like Anger Mega Kong, I should be okay. And then as you progress through the mod, you need some ancients. Then you add on me that DOX Dome and again continue to surround it with the mega walls. And I think this is a more realistic progression to building out in the open in DOX. Again, of course, put a ceiling on here. Okay, put a ceiling on here. It's just open for show. Okay, but ultimately you're gonna need to put down the DOX mega walls to protect your base from megas clipping in. You're probably gonna want the DOX Dome so that you can store some of your bigger dinos. And there's not always gonna be a cave location open for you on the map, so you want to know how to build out in the open. I understand that this might not be the most exciting topic for everyone who's been following the series. Thanks if you made it through all the dome talk. If you didn't want to hear about it, you could have just used the timestamps. I put them there for you so that if you know everything there is to know about DOX domes, just skip this section, right? We are here at the blue obelisk on the Ragnarok map. Latitude and longitude are on screen because we're over the water. That's right, it's your favorite time. Just kidding, it might not be your favorite. It's the Ragnarok base location for the DOX mod. We're showing an underwater base location. The key thing to finding this spot is this natural bridge right here on screen. If you can find this bridge, you can find the cave. This is an awesome cave to build in. I'm sure anyone that's a huge fan of the Ragnarok map has been here before. You're gonna need to fly your way. You're gonna need to swim your way past some moses and some squids. I've never made it into this cave without having to fight them or outrun them. They're always hanging out here, and you're gonna probably need to stack up some DOX mega walls in order to build here. Again, from the other side, if you couldn't find that cave entrance, if you can find that natural bridge, you just kind of head into the weeds here, you're gonna end up at this cave. I'm calling this cave Deep Blue. I know it's got a lot of names, but as far as I'm concerned, this is Deep Blue. It's a huge cave. There's plenty of room in here to build. There's a lot of water in here. Remember, we're playing the DinoOverhaulX mod. Just because you're underwater does not mean you can do something stupid, make Mega Kong angry. I assure you, he will swim down here and spank you in Deep Blue. You can't run, okay? You need to make good decisions in the mod. As far as base locations go, are you any safer than anywhere else? No. Are you gonna need a teleporter? You probably are gonna need a teleporter to get some of those ancient dinos out. All your flyers can't just swim underwater. It's a huge base location, plenty of room to build whatever you want. I like the spot. It's in a decently located spot where I'm pretty much out of the way, where if someone else does something dumb and Mega Kong is running across the map, my base is not across the map from anyone else's base. It doesn't matter what Titan, what Mega, what Prime fights get started in my vicinity. I'm in Deep Blue, I'm doing my own thing, and I'm safe. However, you need to find out a way to get down here and how to build in here, and that's going to be its own adventure. It's a great base location for the DOX mod. Good luck building down here. You know, the only other issue I have is that you've got to get your supplies down here. We're not necessarily super close to wood or stone. I put down the DOX Dome and I've got a mana core out just to use for scale. It's really tough to get an understanding of how big this location is with just the hero walking around. It's time to go back to our base A and B with our friend here, Skeletor the Transmute Shrine. We're going to do 10 more rolls of Ancient Tames. This is a pretty expensive thing we keep doing. It's always costing us 30 Prime Heart Relics and 10 Prime Kibble. The Prime Kibble right now isn't as bad to get our hands on since we can fight a number of Prime tier dinos, but ultimately we're going to keep rolling at this. We're trying to get a small bank of Tames as we move into the late game. We might want to have a couple of throwaway Tames so that we can abuse the nuke launcher maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out, but we got 10 more rolls. We got ourselves a Mantis Prime. We got the Leech, the Angler, the Pig we've seen, another Griffin, the Dire Bear, the Doed, the Scorpion. If you're watching right now and you didn't comment last time with what is your favorite flying Ancient Prime, comment right now. What's your favorite flying Ancient Prime you can roll? If you're enjoying something or you've learned something, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked what you've seen. We are back at Kel Darko, and I think it's time to bring out our new Ancient Tame. We're we're gonna go with the ancient horse. I figured Kilgar Cove is over here in the highlands, and that's exactly where I want to be running around with my spooky horse. This horse has this kind of demonic green underglow. It's on fire, which is terrifying, and it's kind of got this purple shade, and the teeth are equally menacing. This horse is pretty much the stuff of nightmares, best as I can tell. I don't really want to fight this thing or ride this thing, but I'm gonna put a saddle on it, and I gotta say, the saddle doesn't fit. It's the standard Equus saddle. I mean, it fits the horse. The horse fits into the saddle, but it doesn't match how terrifying this horse is. I've got some kick attacks, it's looking like. I've got myself some bite attacks. Okay, what else can we do? And we can do the max style points. That's right. Are we awesome or are we awesome? This horse is pretty cool. I wish I would have tried it out sooner. It's a little too fast. I may have put too many. Okay, this is awesome. Guess who got their hands on that giant launched flaming fire exploding ranged skull bomb thing? Yeah, I do. This thing's awesome. I really do think this is a lot of fun. I really wish I would have pulled this earlier. I wonder what prime dinos I could have farmed earlier, easier, or sooner with the prime horse, and maybe positioning this ranged attack nicely. I accidentally kind of went in the water and almost died. I've really put too many points of movement speed in here. I'm glad I'm in the highlands. I'm probably going to need to summon another one of these and put it at a more reasonable movement speed. I really had a lot of fun with this horse. Probably the most fun I've had of all the ancient tames. Just run around on this horse. And I was going to cut out this footage. I thought enough had happened, but then I outran my own skull blast and I found a Bronto. And I said, you know, blowing up a fish doesn't make sense. We ought to blow up a Bronto with our big explodey skull bomb. And I think there might be a Valentine's Day event going on, because this is where I segue into reminding everyone it's not all about just making progress. We're in this super tough mod, the DinoOverhaulX mod, and we want to take some time and just smell the roses. We want to take some time and enjoy the game. We don't always need to be grinding to get from that next resource, to that next fight, to that next tame, to the new saddles or maxed armor. We found the perfectly pink Equus. We found the perfect pink pony. How can we pass this up? Sure, it doesn't do anything for us in the mod. The prime horse, this ancient horse here, is always going to be the better fighter, but it's never going to be that pink Equus. Take some time and enjoy what you're doing as you play through the mod. You're gonna have setbacks and you just need to take a break and do some other shenanigans. At this point, you should be remembering that we summoned in that LavaGolem Prime and we needed a DodoWyvern Prime head. And it's the only thing I haven't shown you on screen yet. We have Capri, our Fire Manicore Prime. We've got an Argentavis Pygmy. We've got our riot gear on, and we're fighting our first DodoWyvern Prime. This fight is kind of like Death Worm. It's a bit of a glass cannon. We should have brought our chitin armor since it does that fire damage, but it also hits us with the lightning wyvern attack. We're going to get hit with the fire wyvern fire. We're going to get hit with the poison wyvern blast. The DodoWyvern Prime hits you with all of the different attacks, and it's a pretty tough fight, but the real challenge here is, can you out DPS or not? It doesn't feel like it takes very many hits, but it sure hits very hard. The other thing you need to know, listen closely here, if you start a fight with the DodoWyvern Prime and there's a Mega Dodo Rex on the map, you are now also in a fight with the Mega Dodo Rex. That's right, they work together. It's a teamwork thing. Be careful what you fight in the DOX mod. Remember, those Megas don't despawn, so just because there's not a Mega Dodo Rex in your vicinity doesn't mean there isn't one on the entire other side of the map. There's nothing worse than having a successful Prime fight, going back to your base, sorting through your loot, and then discovering that the Mega Dodo Rex is knocking at your door. Even if you built in deep blue, don't think that makes you safe. They will run right through those DOX domes, right through those DOX walls. For this third fight here, I won't use my Manicore enhancement part, and I will still be able to take down this DodoWyvern Prime. The DodoWyvern Prime is a tough fight. Make sure that when you're trying to fight that, if you're using my fight as an example, look at your stat. How similar are your stats to my stats? If your stats are very similar, you should have a very similar result here. We also got the LavaGolem enhancement part from these DodoWyvern Prime, which was something we also took advantage of with our LavaGolem Prime. Our Manicore here has a max level saddle. We have the imprinting buff. We've got our corruption stone. We've got our potions. We are gear stacked up for these fights. I'm going to clear the map of the DodoWyvern Primes. I seem to have a little bit too many of them on the map. You can see here I walked away with 16 Prime DodoWyvern heads. I forgot to add my corruption stone to the loot tab. These are the best drops we got from killing the DodoWyvern Primes. It doesn't mean that these are either the only drops or all the drops that are in the loot table for the DodoWyvern Prime. These are just the ones that we enjoyed the most. And of course, there's our Equius saddle that we use for our fire horse. We still have quite a few more prime dinos to fight here in the mid game. We've fought the majority of them. We're just down to a couple that are left for us to fight, and then we can move into those mega bosses and start upgrading our dragon. We're gonna have to keep our eyes open for an opportunity to pick up some more corruption stone. We're not done with the mid game yet, but we are more than halfway through the mid game. I really hope that if you're watching right now and you can still hear me, you're enjoying this episode. I hope it's helped you in some way with your DinoOverhaulX progression. What is your favorite prime dino to fight? The most favorite one. What's your favorite prime fight that you've seen so far in the series? If you're watching right now, comment below. If absolutely none of this was new information, I hope you found it entertaining and you tune in next time for episode 16. We are still here in the mid game, but we are not going to stay in the mid game much longer. We've finished the early game, we're finishing the mid game, and we are excited to get into some of that late game content. I'm Vadd. This has been ARK Survival Evolved in the DinoOverhaulX mod, episode 15. Until next time, peace. If you learned something or enjoyed this video, share it with a friend. If you are new here, please consider subscribing. If you have joined and enjoyed before, welcome back. If you would like to see more quality content, please consider joining me in supporting the channel through Patreon and utilizing the affiliated links. Thanks.